felt. But he screws around and dinks around because Jackson doesn't arrive here till between the 1st and the 3rd of December. So that means that Lee has almost doubled his strength in the period between the 3rd and the time Longstreet arrives. Burnside has not increased his strength a bit. He's planned, as I said, to cross downstream and Port Royal. He doesn't send that far. And when Jackson arrives, Early and D.H. Hill's men are down there, so he's wasted until the 11th. So the orders are they're going to bridge at 3 points. The upper bridge will come across just to the left of that large 2-story house. They're going to be parked over there just in front of that red house, as we're talking about building the upper bridges. The lower bridges are going to be about half a mile. The lower bridge, the middle bridge will be a half a mile below that bridge down at the city wharf. Those are the only real exciting ones. That's where you guys come and these ladies come, where you can see men killed and wounded, because that's where the opposition is. Where Franklin crosses, where they'll throw 2 bridges on the 11th and have 3 bridges by the 13th, is 2.5 miles below us. And that's a cakewalk to get across there, because there's very little opposition. On the morning of the 11th, there's going to be a very, very heavy fog. This man looks right here like he's in the 50th New York. So you're going to have to unload these and carry them down from the wagon. The cradles are carried on, and not be cussing or when you fall or anything down.
No mules.
Because you're going to build the 2 bridges from there. The Confederates are on the other side of the river behind stone walls or in the basements on 2-story houses. So the Confederates know what's going on. And the Confederates are going to commit Barksdale's brigade, 4 Mississippi regiments, and the 8th Florida to defend against the middle bridge and the 2 upper bridges. Down at Deep Run, they're only going to be skirmishers from Pickett's and Hood's division. So if you're a Confederate, you know what those Yankees are doing. There's this cold water, and you're going to be making a lot of noise. So at 10 o'clock, when the fog lifts, they're going to see one of the bridges about halfway across, the other bridge about a third of the way across. And what are you doing? If you're building these bridges and assembling them, you're standing on them. And the Confederates have good small arms practice on you. And you're going to soon find it's a good way to commit suicide. Then Burnside decides to call in Henry Hunt, the best artillerist in the world, not just the best artillerist in North America. And he decides he's going to use his rifle guns to hammer the city. Lee is not a modern soldier. He's horrified when he thinks those dastardly Yankees are shelling the city. That's not it. It hasn't been declared an open city or anything. It's fair game. So they're going to bombard. Then they decide, Hall will say, it's still suicidal to stand on the bridges as we extend them to the far bank. So they decide to use these as landing craft. So the surplus ones, you're going to use an assault landing both here and at the middle bridge. And we'll across the water and land on that side and shuttle men in, and then you're going to have the first time in the Civil War, they're going to have street fighting taking place in a town of 5,000 people. And you're going to have to fight your way from Sophia Street to Princess Anne Street. And then you're going to have to, and the Confederates will not abandon the fight for the bridges until dark. You'll have a rather good human interest story between two ex-Harvard men that know each other. Henry Livermore Abbott of the 20th Mass and Lane Brandon of the 21st Mississippi. And Brandon has to be physically removed from the field because he wants to best Henry Livermore Abbott. And they'll have to send Lanes from Barksdale to physically remove him because by dark the Confederates are going to abandon their defense of the town and fall back to their main line of resistance. Then Burnside will give them 24 hours. That is vital because that's going to enable the enemy now know where they're going to cross. So that means they're going to call up Jackson's division, corps, 30,000 men, and a range of defense and depth along the Confederate right, which extends 2 miles. You're going to have 30,000 Confederates holding that way, and the most Franklin could have, even under his, if he got his way, he'd still be using 40,000 against 30,000. Because Jackson has brought, if you'd attacked on the 12th, you wouldn't have had D.H. Hill here, and you wouldn't have had Jubal Anderson early, because they're not going to be here till the early morning hours, and D.H. Hill till after daybreak on the 13th. So you've given the Confederates ability to construct a defense in depth over the weakest part of their line. And that's where you do get a breakthrough. And you also, fudging a little bit, you're probably going to say, I would say that Gibbon is also going to force Little Jim Lane's men, at least his right flank, back from the railroad. And of course, you have a great opportunity now. But John Fulton Reynolds forgets. Good thing he dies, because he's going to forget that he's a corps commander responsible for one division that has not yet been committed. And he's overseeing the firing of a 6-gun battery. That isn't good use of rank. So that is what they're going to do. They're going to make the attack. Will not begin until 10 a.m. on the 13th, because that's when the fog is going to rise, both on the 11th and the 13th. And then Pelham, this looks like the gallant Pelham here. No, he isn't as good looking as the young Pelham. And he will not have women taking about a chastity when he gets killed. But that's in the future. That's what he says. One so gallant, one so young. Because with 2 guns, he's going to delay the Union advance another 1 hour.
Talk about this.
All right.
Let me explain a little bit about building a bridge. Now, these pontoon bridges, excuse me, from the French word pont, which means bridge, were not meant to be built under fire. It had never been attempted before.